right. Welcome, everybody, to episode 9 of Teed Up with Connor and Patrick. We got a very special guest here.
Debatable.
Debatable. But very special in some people's eyes. Somebody who a lot of people were wanting to hear from. Freshman year, just finished up. Very, very good year. Waukee High School legend, some would say.
Yeah.
But Price is just currently destroying all of his records. So
Price isn't a Waukee High School guy anymore.
Oh, that's
It's
true.
gone.
That's true. Okay, before we get started, I just want a quick shout out Hames Homes. They're our sponsor. They provide comfort in homes in Eastern Iowa. So shout out to them. Thank you very much to them. But so Payton, what's going on, brother? You're in Des Moines right now. Skipping a week at class, I'm pretty sure. Is that how that goes?
I'm not skipping class. My dad wouldn't allow me to be here if I was skipping class.
Debatable. You're just there for like a free week of golf, or what? What's going on?
Well, that was the plan, but it's like 12 degrees, so I'm just sleeping.
Is it raining there? Is it raining?
Yeah, it's been raining for like 3 days.
It's good to rain when you want to golf.
Yeah, it's not
So
fun.
for those of you who don't know, Payton is I don't know, arguably the best golfer on the team.
No.
Jabo? Is Jabo better?
J-Bo's pretty good. Yeah, he beat me sometimes. It was probably between us two, but next year's team, there's nobody close.
Oh,
Josh Agundale? He's not going to be here.
That's a swing I don't want to see.
he doesn't know what golf is. Actually, he does. It's big. He knows. That's big.
It is big.
The bad golf swing would be Mr. Toussaint, Joe Toussaint.
I've heard Luke had a really bad swing.
Oh God, it's scary. Like when I tell you it's not safe, Luka would do he would finish like one-handed, like finish with one hand. He would golf swing finish with one hand. So imagine how that looks. He wouldn't follow through all the way. He would just go one. And so
you could probably hit the ball a quarter mile.
That's scary.
You would think the club is like gonna fly like it. And occasionally, like, you think I make a couple bad divots, like the kid could take a chunk out of the ground.
I've never seen anyone take a divot on their backswing like Connor McCaffrey. So much power goes into that swing. It's just not, I don't know.
It's the righty, bro. It's the righty. But okay, I want to shout it out, though. At one point, you said to me, bro, I might need you to just quit basketball and join the tour. What do you think?
That was a long time ago. That's when I was hot.
That's when the kid was hot.
Coming off a golf state championship. That was before I had a basketball. I mean, there was a time I had a golf state championship and not a basketball state championship. I was thinking about things.
Yeah. Where are we at with that right now? Like, where's that at in the plans?
Oh, it's gone. Ship sailed. I quit playing a lot, and I don't know. The short game leaves when you don't play a lot.
Yeah. No, I know how that is. You just.
What about when your short game was never there? Can't leave if it's never there.
Can't leave if you never play golf.
Yeah, I haven't played golf in years, and last time I tried to play, I almost killed Keith Duncan.
Oh gosh,
that is true. Patrick, you want to tell that story real quick for the listeners?
So we were golfing. This was like right at not right at the beginning of COVID, but like probably 2 or 3 months into COVID. So it's like there's nothing to do, but people could play golf. So Connor and Austin and Michael Bear all decided like, hey, let's go play golf. And I was like, well, I'm bored. I'll go play golf. So I go, and I just am the worst golfer of all time. Like I'm just so bad. And I can barely hit the ball. Like, mind you, I've golfed maybe 2 other times in my life. Like I just have no idea what I'm doing. And like I hit the ball, it goes anywhere, whatever. Like I miss, it's just so bad. And so we were at the airport golf course up in Cedar Rapids, and Keith Duncan and I think like Sean Byer and like a couple other Hawkeye football players were golfing. Like then their hole was like right next to ours, like parallel with ours.
It was not right next to ours.
It was like up a hill a little bit, but it was like it was like the same thing because I hit the ball directly sideways.
Right.
So it was a little higher, but it was like very equal like thing. But so anyways, like I try to hit the ball and I whiff, but like I get like a little piece of it like with the bottom of the club, and it goes like literally like here's the tee, and it goes like this way.
45
Directly for Keith Duncan, and it almost hits him.
I'm just proud you hit the ball.
What'd you say?
I'm just proud you hit the ball.
Yeah, no, that didn't happen very often, but so I almost hit him, and then we get to the next hole, and they're like making jokes, like, "Hey, man, like, don't do it again," blah blah blah, blah, like whatever. I do it again. I just hit it right out. And honestly, I think that might be harder to do than like actually hitting the ball forward, like hitting the ball sideways, like directly sideways. I think it's actually easier for me to hit the ball forward than hit it sideways.
No small accomplishment. I mean,
it was pretty cool.
Some sort of skill.
But like if Keith Duncan then couldn't kick field goals, then I probably wouldn't have been very well liked by Hawkeye Nation. I can't have that. Because I love the Hawks. I need the Hawks to love me back. You know what I'm saying? You know. So yeah, that's the last time I played golf, and probably the last time I'll ever play golf. Also, I want to note that this is the Big Ten tournament net that I have around my ear, and it will stay around my ear because until the Big Ten tournament next year, we are still the champs. And when we win it again next year, we will then be the champs again. So just wanted everybody to know that and keep that noted, because I don't care what anybody says about our season. We were the champs, and call me champ. I don't care. So there we go.
There you go.
Just wanted to get that out there.
Channeling your inner Drew Timmy here.
Yeah.
Can't guess.
No, yeah, trying to censor my mouth.
He'll cut it out if we need to, but yeah, censor it. Mom and Dad are honest about that. All right, Payton, I want to cover something that we haven't been able to do yet with anyone else, and that is recruitment through COVID. It had to be one of the weirdest, most dysfunctional processes that there ever has been. You know, you're coming out of. I think my dad offered you before COVID started.
He did. He offered me this summer after my sophomore year.
Yeah,
so that was up in Missouri.
Yeah.
So I got a little bit of normal recruiting with him. He came to a couple of high school games. Sherman Dillard came to one of I think our state quarterfinal game. And then like the next day, everything got weird. And like, I don't know, but like you guys got the Big Ten tournament canceled. We played our semifinal on March 12th with like a full crowd. And then the next day there was like, we each got 100 total tickets, and like we counted as the tickets. So things got weird.
Like you counted it, like you needed a ticket?
Yeah.
It's absolute insanity.
Like our managers needed a ticket, coaches needed a ticket. So then we played the game in front of like 100 people, and it was like the weather outside was terrible. I remember it was like super windy and like eerie, and like it was the weirdest day of my life. Like everything felt weird in that gym, and then we got beat, so it wasn't great. But then I was like, yeah, I'd be on the golf course, I get recruiting calls, and then like mid-April, everyone started to figure out Zoom. So then everything moved to Zoom calls, and it was like I'd have like 3 a week with different coaches. And it was just like, it was weird. Like, it's just like Zoom calls can be like kind of awkward, and like there'd be like some awkward silences with coaches. And then I got a Stanford offer over Zoom, and then but I'd never met them before. They'd never seen me play. So like, I can't even like think about that. And then like for the longest time, I wanted to commit to Iowa, but it was like, I didn't know everything about it. I'd only visited for one football game, one basketball game. So like, I'd never seen the campus. I'd never like met any of the guys. So I was hesitant. And then once they kind of moved, they kept moving back the dead period date so that coaches could come watch us play. I was like, we could go on campus. I just ended up just committing because it looked like it was never going to get any better. And I never would have had another chance to take an official visit because I think it opened up like June 1st, and I moved into Iowa June 2nd last year.
There may or may not have been a visit that took place with the Sandfort family that Connor and I were somewhat indirectly, maybe directly, but more so indirectly a part of. Downtown Iowa City, walking around the campus with the Sandfort family. That might have happened. It might not have. You never know.
That was an accident. That was a complete accident because we were just like, we drove up. We were just going to go to Starbucks in Iowa City. We heard great things about it. And then we ran into the McCaffreys.
Yeah, no, it's actually so crazy.
And you guys are like, oh, I guess while you're here, we could just show you around campus.
Peyton's dad was like, hey, do you guys want to show us? And it's like, what type of players are we if we're not going to show around the recruit's dad?
Yeah.
Like, what do we look like? But
yeah, it was
definitely no prior I don't even know. No prior communication about that visit.
We did play Fortnite, Peyton. We played Fortnite.
We did. Me, you, Pat, and Price.
We did.
We got to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my peak Fortnite. My peak was still pretty low, but that was my peak.
Your peak was a valley. But
no, I said my peak was low. You don't have to be.
Yeah. But I wish I could have had a normal recruiting experience, but what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of screwed up for everybody, but we got lucky in the process. What would you say, like, when it came down to your decision making and your top 5 or whatever, like how much did the other school, like, was it kind of Iowa the whole time, or were the other schools like involved at all? Like, I know Drake was in your top 5 because you're close with Tucker and Coach DeVries. Like, how did that break down? Was it just you wanted to play in the Big Ten? You kind of all like you. We're gonna get into this later, but we know you're not naturally an Iowa fan. So,
I have always been like an Iowa basketball fan. Like, I kind of went back and forth between Iowa and Iowa State growing up, watching them play. Like, I just cheered for both, but a lot of my family's from Nebraska, so I grew up like a big Nebraska football fan. It hurts me to say it, but it was what it was. And so, like, I know a lot of people, it's pretty easy to commit to Iowa because they grew up like their parents went there and everything. But my mom went to Simpson College. She grew up like more of an Iowa State fan. And my dad always loved Nebraska. I mean, I've had many family members go through the Nebraska band.
That's tough.
I mean, so everyone still lives out there, extended family. But what was the question? Top 5. Oh, top 5. So the only official visit I took was to Utah. I took that in the October of my junior year, which I really liked their campus. The biggest thing out there was, I mean, it was a long ways away. And they get like literally 150 people at their games. And like they had a lot of really good players on that team. Like, I think my main 2 hosts were Alfonso Plummer and Rylan Jones, who we played both against this year, but like Timmy Allen was there, Booth Gotch, like they had a pretty good team, a lot of pretty good guys, but I just couldn't really see myself going that far away. And then growing up watching Iowa, I kind of always wanted to play in the Big Ten, wanted to play in like the Big Ten tournament. It seems like a big thing. There's like obviously a pretty storied program with Iowa, which made it pretty easy. Stanford was a pretty cool option, but I never got to like realistically go see that, or they never really saw me play in person. They just watched over the streams like Baller TV of AAU games. So it was just a tough decision, but like from the first day I got the offer, I had a pretty good feeling it was going to be Iowa.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we're gonna quick double back on the Nebraska thing because we just need to cover that.
We also need to throw Carter Kingsbury in there because he's from Nebraska, and although his dad played here, he and his family are diehard Nebraska football fans. I actually was shown a spreadsheet by Carter Kingsbury that like broke down like all of the Nebraska players and like where they fit and like the recruiting class and like the rankings and like all this stuff. It's like a whole like huge dynamic spreadsheet that Carter's brother created. So he's not immune from this either. So I needed to throw him a shot in there as well.
Well, so Carter's dad, when he played at Iowa, they weren't very big, like they weren't rivals at the time. And when he was here, Nebraska and Penn State split the national championship in like 1997. So when Iowa played at Penn State in basketball, he wore a shooting shirt that said Nebraska 1997 national champions. All he played for Iowa.
They let him do that?
Yeah.
That is insane.
That's pretty good stuff.
I mean, we're just airing everybody out here, Patrick. Like we're just, Carter's getting shots, Peyton's getting shots. I was worried. I talked to both of you about this. I was worried we were going to get some Nebraska fans in our family section. That's what I was thinking.
Like some of the people Carter gave tickets to, like I was really surprised they didn't show up in Nebraska gear.
I didn't even use any tickets that game, I don't think. Maybe I did. I don't know. But like my dad's always had it kind of personal for Nebraska because they didn't really recruit him out of high school. He won a state championship over there. So they came to our place and he like sent me a text. He's like, go kill him. I think I had like 15 and 8 that game.
Oh yeah. So we were gonna talk
almost personal. Yeah.
Your dad, I wanted to hit on your dad as well. He was a very good player. Like you said, won a state championship. Would you say that he kind of is your main influence in the game, or who did you grow up? Was he the one for you and Price, or how did it work?
It was always him and my grandpa. So from the age of like 4 or 5, they coached our AAU team. We were called the West Des Moines Spurs. So I grew up like a pretty big Spurs fan. So we had like a good group of guys and we would have practices. We would have like skill workouts with those two. Like growing up in the driveway, we'd be playing one-on-one and stuff. Like when I was like 6 years old, I think me and my dad were playing on like a 6-foot hoop in our basement. And I jumped up to block his shot and like scraped his eye. So he had an eye patch on for like 12 months. It was crazy. We were actually watching the Iowa versus Georgia Tech Orange Bowl when that happened, the football game. And it was like halftime. And then he's like, if you could already block my shot, you're gonna be pretty good. And then like we built up a pretty good team. And they've like always coached us. Like I would do like shooting with them before the game, or before high school games. And then they were always been my biggest influences.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. Definitely. I mean, kind of obviously relate with our dad being the same way. So kind of before we get into college, I wanted to ask, like, so he asked you about COVID recruitment. I kind of want to talk about your COVID, like high school season. Cause like, I can only imagine how bizarre that is. Cause it's like at a high school basketball team, I don't know how many players you guys have, probably 15, 18 players. I don't know. But it's like, if one of them gets COVID, like the whole operation shut down for 2 weeks. And it's like, you could, and then there's other teams where it's like you might miss games because they might get shut down or whatever. Yeah. So just kind of talk about like how crazy that was, like practicing with masks on, like all this stuff, and like kind of talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. So like, I remember right when we ended our state championship my junior year, we were kind of like worried about it. Like, hopefully this thing doesn't go on that long so that it messes with next season. Cause like, obviously we had a pretty good team coming in. We had like 4 D1 guys. We had a couple more that probably could have gone D1. So like we were expecting to get huge crowds, playing like these big out of state games and stuff like that. But then as we kind of started getting close to the season, like there was kind of like a fear going on. Like we kind of knew that it might be tough for us to have a season. And then like a week, I think we started practice, and then a week before game started, like everyone in Central Iowa had school canceled for like 3 weeks. So with that, we couldn't play, and none of us really took it very well. And it was really hard, but we just kind of stayed texting, and we said like, we're just going to try and use this to get better. So everyone was in the gym by themselves. We had some open gyms like under the table, didn't tell anybody about it, at like gyms around the area. And then once the season started, like we're fully masked up. We had one game before Christmas. Like it was crazy. Like we get 2 tickets for games. So we'd have like a pretty empty arena. But like at the start, I mean, it was awesome because we were just playing again and we were super excited. But it was weird. But I think my favorite part about having the COVID was like there was like different practices we'd have throughout the year where we would just split up the teams and like play games, and like they were like they felt like a maybe a lower level college game or something like that, because there were so many good players, and we just kind of be going at it, like talking trash, and everybody was kind of having fun with it. So that was probably my favorite part of the COVID year. But then once games really started going, like you didn't know what was going to happen. We'd have games get canceled. We had to have like people, we would like, if they were exposed to COVID, we would just tell them they couldn't show up for 2 weeks. And then we even had a game where Tucker was out because his dad got COVID, and like the Drake AD and everyone wanted to make sure that Tucker wasn't exposing us. So we found out like 5 minutes before a game that Tucker was out, and that was the only Iowa game that we ended up losing just because it threw everything off. And but I mean, it was crazy. It was a crazy experience. And then towards the end, it started to become a lot better. Like at our sub-state game, we played at Indianola, and the gym was pretty full. And that was a ton of fun, having that energy again, because you kind of had to create your own energy. And then the state tournament, it was like 25% full, but it felt a lot more than that. So it was a great finish. It was kind of a struggle throughout the year, but I really enjoyed at least getting to have somewhat of a season. I think we only played 11 regular season games maybe, but you had to enjoy every single one.
No, I can't. After playing an empty gym most of last year or 2 years ago now too, 25% makes a big difference.
It does.
Like you never thought of that, because now it's like you play in arenas where it's a quarter full and you're like, what the hell? But like, it's, I get that.
Yeah.
Just
stressful.
Just hear, like, I'm wondering if it was for you guys as well. You literally just hear like the squeaks of the shoes and like talking on defense, and that was it.
Yeah.
Anything, you're getting teed because the refs can hear you.
Yeah, you couldn't say anything.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, our bench last year. We had a lot of good players on it, and they were crazy. Like they'd be screaming at people the whole time. So it kind of helped us bring some energy sometimes.
Did you guys have the fake crowd noise like we had?
No.
You know who hated the fake crowd noise was Jordan Bohannon. Hated it. He's like, why do we even have that? And he would just complain and just
was it quiet or was it loud?
Like kind of quiet, but like it's like, oh, like it was so dumb.
Thanks for that. Thanks for the demonstration.
Well, he asked me what it was.
They could turn the volume up and down on it, so it was just weird, like how it sounded.
That's crazy.
But you covered like the practice games that you guys played with a lot of good players. You had yourself, Tucker DeVries, who just had a really good year at Drake, obviously. Omaha, Price was in those, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a really good team right there already. And so now we have to get into the debate. It's been thrown around before of who is the best. What's been the best Iowa high school team in like the past however many years? We could go 25 years, 50 years, whatever. And I think it's got to be like, you guys got to be up there. Obviously, I feel like Harrison Barnes and Doug McDermott.
I was gonna say, bro, like I don't know if there's a debate with that one with Harrison Barnes, Doug McDermott, 2 lottery picks. I don't know if we can make an argument there.
No, that's a fact. But it's harder for us to say because I don't know like how good they were, how good McDermott was in high school.
And they had that Boo Boo Palo guy who went to Iowa State. Like, bro, it's hard to make that argument against them.
Okay, I'm not saying like who would have won in a head-to-head, but maybe like who was like the better overall. Because like, how many championships did they win? 2 in a row?
They won 2 in a row.
They won 2 in a row?
Mm-hmm.
You guys won. You won one, lost in the championship, and then what'd you do? You were like in state like every single year, right?
Yeah, I played in the 3rd place game my first 2 years. We won that, and then lost the championship, and then won.
Wait, you played in the 1st place or the 3rd place game your freshman year?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
I don't know who we lost to.
You forgot who put you in the 3rd place game? I'll remind you, it was the Iowa City West High Trojans.
Who was the guy that beat us though? Someone hit like 6 threes. I don't know. Hakeem, yeah.
Hakeem had 18. I had 14, and Sabian had 14. I can't imagine anybody else scored very much.
It's Iowa high school. You score like 50 a game.
Right, exactly. I mean, we had to like, I was on the far side of a 3 in a row state championship run. And then a couple year break, lost in the championship, lost in the semis, and then we won another one. And Patrick, then you beat Waukee the next year to go to the championship.
Well, I lost in the championship twice.
These are all notable dynasties of Iowa.
It's too bad Waukee had to stop it. I mean, they would have kept it rolling if they didn't split.
Yeah, no, they definitely, same with West.
I forgot about that. They split too.
Yeah, they just had to split up the powerhouses, bro. That's all it is.
It's not as obvious because it's Liberty High School, not like Waukee Northwest. Yeah. So it's not as obvious that they split.
Yeah,
I was the last
good teams
class at West. So then after my year, that's when kids started switching up.
Yeah.
And from there, we were just in trouble.
Something I kind of want to complain about that though, because it's the only split. So we had two high schools in our school district, right? Why did nobody from City High go to Liberty? Not one person.
I think
they all came. You said what?
I thought they did. I don't know.
No, none. Like some would open and roll, but nobody was districted from City High. Like nobody from City High had to leave.
I don't know. Bottom line is they had to split up the dynasties, and it's messed up.
Yeah.
Price could have used some of the help this year.
Well, what are the main dynasties? The Ames. I mean, Ames is good again. They won big this year too.
Yeah, Ames is good still. So I guess Ames, Waukee, Iowa City West, Cedar Falls, I think is in the mix. They won twice.
They won 2 in a row.
They won 2 in a row?
Yeah.
They did.
Okay, they have to be in the mix then.
Yeah, no, they're in the mix.
I think they made the semis the last 2 years.
Yeah.
They can hang around, but they're a clear tier 2. Like a clear tier 2.
Hey, I can't talk shit. They
were good during my high school run.
I don't think I ever lost to Cedar Falls. All right, we're gonna take a quick break before we get back into some college stuff. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody, to episode 9 of Teed Up with me and my brother and our special guest, Payton Sandfort. And a quick shout out to Ames Homes. Those guys are awesome. Anyways, Payton, I feel like, I don't know if this played a factor in your decision to come here, but I feel like you fit in perfect with kind of like how we play. You like to obviously play fast. You move a lot on offense, and you don't really have a conscience when you're shooting. Like when you shoot those shots, like you'll chuck it from 30 feet. You don't care, and I love that about you. It's one of my favorite things. So it's like kind of like, is that something that you factored into the recruiting process, like our style of play and how you would fit? Because I think you're a pretty perfect fit into how we want to play.
Yeah, for sure. Like watching Wheezy in the system, like watching you in the system, Utah, all those guys, like the wings that can shoot it and can put on the floor and like want to run. I think that's like perfect for the system. So I kind of knew and that's kind of what they recruited me for, is they told me like how much I fit into the system, like moving off the ball and then just being pretty versatile with the ball. So I think that was a major piece in the recruiting for me.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because I think something that people might be an underrated part of kind of how you play. Like everybody notices the shooting, but I don't think people really see how well you move off the ball.
Yeah.
And like how
you see it when you guard me in practice.
Bro, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. You don't stop moving. So it's just so then I have to keep moving. And then I want to move because then I want to move too. And so it's so now we're both moving on both ends when typically most teams just come down, call a set, and then so we're chilling on defense. and then we can move on offense.
Yep.
It wears on you after you're moving all the time on both ends. And both teams are sprinting up and down the court. Like both times you got to get it in quick, otherwise we get screen that. So you got to get it in quick. And so we got to run to the corner, and then we start moving. So it's just chaos.
Those first practices were exhausting. I mean, I was dead. If you keep moving throughout the possession, though, eventually they're going to break down. So you just got to keep moving. And then that's how I get open.
Exactly. Somebody's going to lose you.
Like against Purdue, I think maybe the first possession I hit a 3 in that second half. Like Gillis just got tired, or Newman, whoever was guarding me, he just got tired. He didn't put a hand up on me, so I'm like, let's do it.
Let's be clear. You weren't open. You were not open.
No, he wasn't open at all.
Second one, I was open.
Why? You were not open.
Well, originally, I was thinking Keegan threw it to me, and I'm like, this is late clock. I got to get one up. And then his hand was down, kind of, maybe.
Man down.
So I threw it up, and I thought it was short, but I guess some adrenaline helps.
No, it was so funny because in the first half when you made your turnaround, Jaden Ivey was guarding me, and you shoot the turnaround, and I go, no, he didn't. And it goes in, and Jaden Ivey goes, damn. We're just going to get back on defense.
That was literally my 3rd second in the game when I took that.
Literally, like, that was like your first touch. It was like your first touch. You shoot that, like, contested turnaround, and I'm like, no, he didn't. And it goes in, and I'm like, all right. Jaden Ivey goes, damn.
Payton, what did you expect coming into this season? Like, as a freshman, a lot of people didn't think we were going to be any good. What did you think before you stepped on campus? What were your thoughts? And then after the first couple weeks of practice, after the first game, like hit on all of that. You know, what were your thoughts?
So like coming in, like after my senior season ended, I took a week off, went on vacation, but then I'm like, I got to get ready. Like, I've heard how big the jump is. So I was like lifting all the time. I was playing with college guys. Like, my family's pretty close with Michael Jacobson's family, who played for Nebraska and Iowa State, because he lives right here. And I know you don't like that, but but like I would go to he has a gym, so we had open runs up there all the time. And like he's a pretty strong dude, so getting used to that was tough. But then like I'd be lifting, I was working out with my trainer all the time, and then like I was pretty nervous coming in. I just didn't know what to expect, really. I was hoping I'd be able to compete right away, but for minutes, but I knew it'd be pretty tough. And then like the first practice, like I was just like, it just felt like a totally different world. Like I think I hit a few shots in the summer, but like I remember I was struggling a little bit mentally. Like it didn't seem like I could hit many shots, and like everyone was just a lot faster and more physical than I was. But like towards the end of the summer, I felt like I started to get used to it a little bit. And then coming back in the fall, I remember like talking to my dad before the season. I was like just hoping I could find a way into the rotation early in the year, and then maybe work my way into more minutes like towards tournament time. So I didn't really come in with any expectations at all, but just kind of hoping that I could do it. And then once practice in the fall came, like I kind of started to realize that I could do this. I played pretty well in the fall, so I thought I had a chance. And then obviously it kind of worked out how I'd hoped. Just kind of steady improvement of minutes throughout the year.
Yeah. You didn't play big minutes every game, but you definitely took advantage of like the minutes you did have and earned way more. I would say arguably you earned more minutes than anybody else on the team. What was that like? Like you're coming in and you're checking into a game. First of all, we know what you're in there to do. You're in there to score. You're a microwave, get hot.
But shooting it.
Like also like an underrated part is like you rebound. You're bigger than a lot of people think. Like I don't think people watching realize that you're like a legit, 6'7", I would say. And so you rebound. What are kind of like when you would check into a game and when you first, I guess when he called your name, what are the first thoughts that kind of going through your head?
Yeah, it was something that I kind of had to work through the whole year, was like improving those thoughts. At first it was like we went on the road to Purdue and Iowa State. It was like my first 2 road games of my career. I'm just kind of in there like, I was like, man, I hope I don't mess this up. But then throughout the year, like I started to transition into how can I impact this game? How can I help us win? It became a lot more natural, which I think, it's just kind of how it works. You just kind of get used to it. But, and then I think like mid-January, early February, I was just thinking like I got a lot more confidence, and I'm just in there thinking like I can help this team. What can I do? So I would go to the offensive glass hard every possession, run the floor every possession, and then just try and like look for my spots where I could hit shots or get to my mid-range game, stuff like that. So I was just coming in trying to make an impact and do what I could to help us win.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's something. I think the offensive rebound, your point about offensive rebound, was something that was really underrated. Like you got some like crucial offensive rebound putbacks like throughout the year. Like first half, we're kind of struggling offensively a little bit. We need a bucket. We miss, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're right there with some wild. What game was it you made? You had some wild tip in. Like I was like, how the hell did he make that? It might have been Nebraska.
It was like Michigan State. Like I kind of like flew in on the baseline and just like slapped it off the glass, and it went in. Yeah, I was just trying to keep it alive, but it went in.
Yeah, I was like, how did he make that? But you definitely had a lot of moments like that where you impacted the games, and people might not necessarily realize, because obviously everybody will know you come in and you start and you make 3 threes. Like, okay, yeah, he impacted the game, but like, there's other ways to do so that people might not necessarily always see, and that you were able to do this year. So
yeah, I just like I would come in and I'd just try and like play hard. Like it was tough to always hit threes right away coming in cold off the bench, but I mean rebounding kind of stays within effort, so that's what I really tried to do. And if the shots were falling, then they were, but if not, it was just get to the glass.
Yeah, no, and I felt like, because I was in a similar position as you the year before, so it's kind of like once you get your hands on the ball a few times, then it's like, all right, now because I never wanted my first touch like for me to be like an open 3 or something, because it's like I just got in the game, man. Like, I just first time touching the ball since the game started. I never wanted it to be an open 3. So like, I want to get a rebound, a deflection, a steal, like feel like I want to make an impact some other way, or like an assist or something. And then like, all right, now like I'm in the rhythm of everything. Now I can shoot one. Now I can.
It a lot easier. Yeah.
Exactly. No, for sure.
Yeah.
Payton, about halfway through, actually maybe even a little bit more than halfway through the Big Ten season, you came to me after a DNP, and you did not play. Coach's decision. You had a 0-minute game, and you came to me and you're like, hey, like, what do you think about me getting on the scout team? And I was like, hey, like, it would definitely, like, I think it could help. You know, you're going to be in every play. You're going to be the primary option. So you're going to be shooting. You're going to be scoring with no conscience. So I said, I like it. As long as you're good with it, you're going to have to learn new playbooks, which is maybe the more difficult thing, especially with the amount of shit that we run.
Yeah.
I said, I think it's a good idea. And that was your idea. And you from that, I mean, maybe I think it was like your first or second day, you just got ungodly hot.
Yeah.
Like just stupid hot.
Yeah.
And I think we had a game like the next day, and based on your scout team performance, that I would say that was a big reason why like you play. And it wasn't like you had played bad previously. I think it was just, it was just something that happened like in the heat of the game with not getting in. But then, you earned those minutes from what was a scout team performance, honestly, like, because when we are working with scout team, we're doing the 2 groups subbing alternately of the guys that are in the rotation. And, we might go a day where we're not playing live much, and you might not get more than 2 or 3 shots, with just the flow of everything. So you get crazy hot, and you come in and it's like, okay, well, he's probably still hot. And sure enough, I'm pretty sure you hit 3 or 4 threes. It might've been the Nebraska game at home.
I think it was, so it started, where did I start? I think I started scout team against Rutgers. So I was Ron Harper.
Okay.
Like going in, I just wanted to be on the scout team just to like get more shots and improve myself. Cause even if like it wasn't this year that I was getting big minutes, like I'm gonna have a bigger role next year. And like down the road, I wanted to keep improving myself. So go against Keegan, go against Patrick, go against like Connor, the best defenders on our team, and just kind of get myself better. And then I think I played like maybe 2 or 3 minutes against Rutgers, and then like 2 or 3 minutes against Penn State at home. But then we played Purdue, and I hit a couple shots, got a big rebound over Edie. And then from there, I kind of got like pretty hot in the game. So like we went to Penn State next.
You played well at Penn State. I remember that.
I hit a couple threes, had a layup. And then like from there, I kind of like exploded. I think we played Minnesota next at home. I had some big buckets late. And then like from there, it just kept going, Nebraska, all throughout there. And then I just kind of needed to get some confidence. So I was trying to find any way that I could keep getting better and just like see some shots going, because it seemed like it'd been forever since I'd scored. And I think that really helped me. Getting to learn their system too helped out defensively, because I knew kind of what Harper was going to do before maybe even he did, if I heard the play call.
No, definitely. Was that completely your decision then, the scout team thing? Was that not suggested by anybody else?
I had talked to, I think I talked to your dad about it, and then BT was the head scout for one of the games. I don't remember, or I think it was Rutgers. And then he just texted me and he said, "Do you want to be Ron Harper for the day?" And then it just kind of worked out. So I stayed with that for a while. And then I think I stopped being on a scout team. I think you got hurt for a couple games. So then I just went back into my kind of old role.
He's a huge scout team advocate. The guy loves scout team.
Yeah. I think, that really helped me though. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. I mean, it showed. And I mean, a lot of people wouldn't have known that, but we knew we were in practice. I'm like, Jesus, like this guy's hot. Like, give him some shots.
Yeah.
What are we doing? And so sure enough. And then, like you said, you kind of worked your way out of it. But, to that point, the damage was done. You were already going.
Yeah. I just needed to see some going against some Big Ten competition.
Yeah.
Been a while. And then once we got going, we were going.
Yeah. So coming down the stretch, we win. You're a freshman. You're new to the game. You're new to the Big Ten. We win however many, to finish the season. I don't know what it was, 7 of 8, 8 of 9, something like that. What, just so you know, like going into the Big Ten tournament, it's not that easy every year. Like we were on a roll.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure you weren't spoiled at all with the championship run. But I guess, what did it mean? And I always hate these questions. What does it mean to you? But what were your thoughts, like, kind of as a freshman coming in? You're on this team. Again, nobody thinks we're going to be any good. Everybody says, we're going to suck, whatever. And we're on a roll like that at the end of the season. And you're a freshman having big contributions every single game, arguably hit the 2 biggest shots of the Big Ten championship.
Hey, I passed one of them. Yes, sir.
Yes, you did.
What, I guess, like, what kind of confidence does it speak? Like, what kind of confidence do you have to be able to step in to all of these moments and have the impact that you did?
Yeah. I think you just have to have like this unshakable confidence. Like, the environment was big. Like, it felt like a road game. There's like 4.8 million people watching or something like that, I saw. So, like, I mean, you really got to trust yourself and trust your skills, and like trust all of the work that you've put in throughout the years to just kind of let your body take over in those moments. So, like, I'd been pretty cold off the bench coming in that second half, but it's something you always dream about. And like, I didn't want to like waste an opportunity, because I don't know how many more Big Ten championship games I'm going to play in. So coming in, I mean, I was ready to go. I wanted to hunt my shot like I always do. I didn't want it to be like anything new. So I came in and just did what I always did. It just felt like another game, and it just felt like an opportunity to do something great. Like, we had nothing to lose in that game. So just let them go and just have fun with it.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I mean, let's clarify. It was a road game. That was not.
It was back-to-back road games.
Yeah, it was. We won back-to-back games on the road. I know it was just neutral court, but there's no way that should be considered a neutral court.
No. It felt like the Sandfort Pentagon game was a home game. Like,
that shouldn't have been a neutral court either.
And they're each they're all quad 1 games, I guess, but didn't feel like that. They were very different games.
Definitely a good point there. We got paid back.
Yeah.
When we lost to Penn State, Connor, my freshman year, we played them at the Palestra. Like that was I think they counted that as a neutral site game. It's like, that's not a neutral site. Like that's a road game.
There were more Penn State fans at that game than Penn State's had fans anywhere ever. Yeah. It was unbelievable. Okay, I want to get into one last thing before we do the draft. And it's just about kind of the teammate that you are, and the way that you, like, we would see it in film. We would kind of make fun of you jumping around, grabbing people, waving towels on the end of the bench, regardless of your minutes, regardless of your contribution to the game, to the team over whatever stretch, which we all know they're massive contributions that you made every single day. But, you could have not played a second, and you're still celebrating, trying to lead. Not many people come in as a freshman and have a voice and speak up the way that you do. I guess, where did that come from? Have you always been that guy?
Yeah, I feel like I've always really considered myself a leader, like, since my younger days. But like in high school, like my high school coach was really big on like bench energy and how big that can be in a game. So it's something I've kind of always prided myself on. Like no matter what, no matter how many minutes I'm playing, I always want to like try and impact the game and try and like help my teammates out like from the bench. No matter what I can do, I want to help the team. So that's kind of where it started. And then like I've listened to like NBA guys talk about when they're on the bench, just like waving the heck out of that towel. So I would always get a towel during the games and just be waving that thing around and just trying to have fun with it. Like, I mean, it's a fun thing to be part of a team, like in those bigger environments, like Purdue, like Big Ten tournaments. So just doing whatever I could to have fun with it and try and help the team win games.
Ash makes it really hard to not be engaged at the end of the bench because he really does his best to make sure everybody's involved, like whether it's starting a chant or just like the next 3-pointer celebration, like whatever. He makes it really hard to not be involved. So I think that also we have to give a shout out to Ash and give him credit because he definitely like has the bench mob thing figured out like to a science. He's got it.
He was yelling at people all the time at the end of the bench. Like Carter, I mean, Carter was responsible for a lot of our missed free throws this year. He wasn't engaged.
No, and the thing is, like, that's the thing I love about Ash is like he truly believes that like Carter is the reason that we missed that free throw.
Like Carter would always stand up during free throws, and like I think at Illinois, like Chris missed a few, and Carter's sitting down, and Ash is just like, Carter, do you know what you're doing right now? You just cost a chance to win this game. And he like was very adamant about it. It's good stuff.
All right.
A lot of good stuff on the end of that bench.
Last question before the draft, Payton. After this year, you come in with no prior knowledge. What were some of the toughest road environments that we played in as a freshman, and why? Like, what are the ones that stick out to you?
Well, for sure the first three. So Virginia, Purdue, and Illinois or Iowa State. Like Iowa State was just hostile. Like, I mean, they're yelling stuff about my sister. Like I heard her name a few times. I'm like, this isn't high school anymore. But that was hostile. But I feel like the loudest was definitely Purdue. Like that was crazy. Like
not close. It's not.
We didn't have Keegan, and like we walked in there and I turned it over and Ivy dunked it. And like I've never heard something that loud in my life. I think I contributed to history there. That's what I kept thinking.
Damn close.
Yeah. Like it was insanely loud, and it was like I was rattled that game. I left my bag out in the parking lot. Like I never like walked into a gym like at 2 hours before the game and there's just people everywhere just booing you. So like I was just like trying to get out of there as fast as possible. My bag's out. I wasn't the only one who left my bag either. Like there was like 5 bags out in the parking lot.
Yeah. So for the listeners, we had guys rattled. Like we get there. We usually get there about an hour and a half. We get there 90 minutes before tip, and I mean they had students lined up like you can't believe, like blocks on blocks.
It was unreal.
Iowa State had the same thing. A lot of places had the same thing.
Yeah.
In terms of the students.
I tweeted that when I was live tweeting the Illinois game. I tweeted that like probably like I said like 65% of the arenas that we play in have fans like when we walk in, like there's fans already outside.
They're like lined up, literally. But Purdue was something I've never seen. Like
that was insane.
And so they're lined up like the entrance to the arena is around the block from where our bus pulled up, but there were students in a line that went on for, I mean, probably 3 to 4 blocks. And so we're getting our bags that are unloaded off the bus, and we got 5 or 6 guys that just were tunnel vision. I'm getting through these students because they had students. And like Payton was one of them. He's like, my bag doesn't matter. It just couldn't have crossed your mind. But
no, it didn't.
You just walked right in. Like, I'm getting away from these people.
And then, like, we get to the locker room, and I think Max is like, where's your bag? And I'm like, oh, crap. I do not want to go back out there. And then I start walking out, and, like, Chris and Phillip had to go back. So they had me and Aaron's bag with them. And I was like, thank God. There would have been nothing worse than walking back out there with the students like sitting there just watching you pick up your bag.
Dude, I literally was like, Oh, I'm like the last one off the bus, and so I'm like getting my bag. I'm like, these guys are rattled. Like, we got to talk to them.
And we always do the passing before the game, and like we had people running like 2 lines over and like throwing balls off each other. We've never had fans for warm-ups, and then it was like,
Their student section was sold out before the 90-minute clock was
yeah,
gone.
it was full before we got out there.
Yeah,
No, dude, I remember like they're showing like all their games like on like one of the big screens, and it's like Incarnate Ward, like a month later, sold out. Like, and it's like all these games, like, and it was still like it was like when we played those 2 early Big Ten games, and then you both go back to non-conference. So it's like, oh, I don't even know who else they played, but it just said like whoever it was, like small school sold out, big school, so everybody sold out. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah.
It seemed like we played a lot of road games this year where like the other team had like something like huge on the line and we had nothing until the Big Ten championship. And that was like the first one we won. Like Purdue had number 1 on the line. Like Iowa State had top 10 on the line. Like Illinois had the Big Ten championship on the line. And we were just kind of like there to play spoiler, but then it felt good like playing Purdue, knowing that we had a championship on the line.
Yeah.
Finally won.
We won it. See? Yeah.
Using this as a PSA to our fans who, I'm going to be honest, we had a bad year of fans. We did. It was a bad year. This was my worst year. Other than COVID, obviously, this is my worst year of fans. And it's not close. I don't know what it was. Again, people thinking we were going to suck all year, whatever the case is. But the people who came every game, thank you. Everyone was loud and everyone was great, whoever was there. Even games like, the Indiana game, didn't have that many people there, but they were loud. But okay, if we're looking at like a game like Maryland, that shit just can't happen. That was an embarrassment to Big Ten basketball. And a Big Ten game that we won, being in the position that we were this entire year, that was embarrassing. And we need better next year. We just do. And
I feel like COVID might have affected that a little bit too. Like people are probably still a little scared to come out.
Yeah, no, it definitely could have. But like everyone, I always hear too, and like on Twitter, like, oh, like another 8 p.m. start. Oh, it's 6 p.m. It doesn't affect anyone else. They still sell the arenas out. What are we talking about?
And it's like our games start at 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. So it's like that's every game is going to start at 6 or 8. Maybe like once in a blue moon we get a 7 p.m. game.
But like an FS1 BTN 7 p.m. But it's rare.
But like our games are going to start at 6 and 8. So it's like you can't complain about it anymore. I just want to give a quick shout out to this one guy at the Michigan game at home who sat behind our bench, who was insane. And I was a big fan of him. I can't even say what he was saying on this podcast, but this guy was insane and I loved it. So give a shout out to him because that guy is awesome.
Don't get me wrong. The games that we did have fans, they were great. Like the people who came were loud and were great. But the overall attendance, like, I don't know what it was, but it was down. You're right, Payton. It could have been COVID. So maybe we need to relax on that. But I'm just thinking back to games like Maryland at home, even senior night, like, was pretty, like, normally you get a good crowd on senior night. This one was not so. We had some good student showings. We also had some poor student showings. I don't know what it was. I'm just hoping it's better next year. But anyway,
let's draft before my laptop dies.
Let's draft. We're going favorite games of ours that we played this year.
Oh, it's this year.
Or okay, no, you're right. In our career. Top games in our career. That's my bad. And Payton, since you're the guest, you get the first pick. Pretty sure we all know what the first pick's going to be. We'll snake it. So Payton will go first, then Patrick, then me. I'll get 2, and then we'll come back around. So Payton, start us off. Go ahead.
This is a really tough one, actually.
It shouldn't be.
I'll go with just the Big Ten championship, just because of the whole atmosphere and the national like watch of it, and like the impact that I had. It was close between that and the state championship, but I'm gonna go with the Big Ten championship.
You're still a freshman, so like I'll give you a little bit of a pass, but like by the time you're a junior, senior on this team, it won't be close. like the state championship's definitely going to be important to you, but it's not going to be.
Oh yeah.
You'll see. Just wait. But all right, obvious first pick. Patrick, go ahead.
All right, my second pick is the semifinal against Indiana, where I had a big second half, and then Jordan banked in the 40-footer. So I'd say that one pretty good first pick.
That was a pretty insane game.
Yeah.
Myself.
That was an insane game.
I mean, people forget we were up 4 with like 40 seconds.
And we were down 9 with 3 minutes.
Talk about that turnaround.
Yeah.
Shout out Tony. Great year. Not a big deal at all, but he did dribble the ball off his foot. And he laid the ball in with 30 seconds.
I knew we were going to win when that happened. I had no doubt that the shot was going to go in. I was actually I was excited. I was like, let's see a buzzer beater.
Sure enough.
As soon as Jordan shot that, I was like, that's going.
I have to disclaimer for the people on the pod. Our listeners are the only ones who get to know this, but with 5 seconds to go, I called timeout. I 100% called timeout.
Don't tell Larry.
Don't tell Ash.
Yeah, no.
Ash would firmly believe he was coming in, and he probably would have.
We ran our play, and I can just see the whole way. Like, I know what they're going to do. They're switching it, and they had it because they knew the play. So they switch out, and there was just nothing there. So I pick up my dribble, and I call timeout. I look at the ref, and I say timeout. He doesn't give it to me, and then I see J-Bo popping up. So then I just give it to him, and I just clear out. And I'm like, all right, go ahead. And that's how it ended. Just quick story there. All right, my first pick, I'm going to go my state championship senior year of high school. Picking that because, the other championship, obviously Big Ten championship for me would have been first, but I'm taking that for what it is. My state championship, my senior year, a lot went into that, and I'm sticking to that one. So that's my first. And then my second pick is going to be my redshirt freshman year in Madison Square Garden. We win the 2K Classic against UConn. I play well, and we're in New York City. A lot of fans there, great crowd, and we're winning another championship. That's going to be my second pick. So, Patrick, back to you.
All right. I have a lot of different ways I can go with this pick. I think what I'm going to do is pick the Adidas championship that I lost. It was the D1 Minnesota versus Compton Magic. I think there was 10 high major players on the floor at all times. The Compton Magic's lineup was the starting point guard on the Oregon State Elite 8 team, and then Johnny Juzang, the Mobley brothers, and Onyeka Okongwu. And then my team was obviously Tyrell, who got drafted by the Mavericks, Zeke, who's on the Nuggets, Matt, who played at Duke, and then me and Tyler Wall. So I would say that game was, in a way, I think we lost in double overtime, but it was just an absolutely insane game, and it was really fun to play in just because of how many good players there were.
Solid pick. You could have got it in the 5th round, but solid pick.
Well, I mean, yeah, because I'm the only one who played in it, so I could pick it whenever. So it's just a matter of when I wanted to.
We can pick whatever we want, right?
Yeah.
Can I take a state championship, or is that banned?
No, you can take your state championship. Yeah.
All right. I'll take my state championship. I mean, it was a game we didn't even know was going to happen a few months earlier. So I'll take the state championship. A lot went into it. There was a lot of expectation on us, and we got down big in the game. We were down 14 or 16-2, and then we just battled back and ended up winning by 13. It was a fun game. One of my best friends played for Johnston. It was my AAU teammate, and so it's a good finish.
Yeah, great pick.
Another pick, P.
Another pick. I'm gonna go my last ever AAU game in the championship of a tournament at Kingdom Hoops against D1 Minnesota. We beat them by 6 or so. No, but it was a fun finish for AAU career, and yeah, got my buddy an offer too.
Nice.
Sweet. All right, back to me. I'm gonna pick the Minnesota game at home this year because that was probably my best overall game, and I feel that was, especially the second half of that game, was I felt our turning point like throughout the season, because I think like that was right when we moved Jordan back to the point, and I think that was kind of our turning point, especially like the second half, because it was close. We were losing it at halftime because the guy made a 3/4 court shot, and then like we ended up winning by like 16, 14, whatever. And I feel like that was kind of our turning point for the season. So I'm going to pick that one.
People forget the running floater from the free throw line that I made in transit.
Just an absolutely insane shot, but you made it.
I liked it.
I did too. I loved it. I'm all for insane shots.
All right. My pick is going to be, I'm going to go at Iowa State. My redshirt sophomore year. We're kicking them the whole first half, and then they make a run at the start of the second half. I make a three, Weezy gets an and one, and that kind of separates us, and we end up winning by 20 plus and just kick the shit out of them in Hilton. And that was just a really good feeling, because teams don't really go in there and win very often, but we just destroyed them. And their fans, it was quiet. It went from the loudest place I've ever played at a certain point to the quietest. And that was probably, that's definitely one of the best road games I've played in. So I'm going that one. And then I'm going to go at Ohio State this season for us, because that was another one. Like, we hadn't had any so-called, big wins yet in terms of a resume, and we get that W, and that's like our first big win. And that was right after the Michigan loss at home. And everybody thought, like, at that point, we just weren't very good. Like, that was probably the low point in terms of what people were saying about us. And we just come out and we outplay them from start to finish. And we, at no point was it ever really in question. They cut it to 6, and EJ hit a 3 in my face, and then I hit another 3, and that was kind of the game. And so I would say that one was just huge for our season. So those are my 2 picks. Patrick, back to you.
Solid picks. Okay, this pick, Wisconsin in the Big Ten tournament, my redshirt freshman year, because we were playing in that big football stadium, kind of a weird game. Like, nobody really played well, like, on either team except Dimitri Trice was hooping, but like nobody really played well. It's kind of a sloppy game. And I picked it mainly because it was like the first game where we had like a lot of fans. Like, we were playing in a big football stadium, so there was a lot of fans allowed to come. So it was packed. So that was our first game that year with like a really big crowd. So that's why I would say that one.
How many rounds is this?
5. So this is your last pick, or last 2 picks.
I'm gonna go Nebraska this year.
Yeah,
game was pretty personal, and at the Nebraska game at home, we beat the living crap out of them, and I had a lot of points and a lot of rebounds. So I'll go with that one. And then I'll say when I was like 15, I played in the AAU game against Imani Bates, and like nobody thought we had a chance. And I had like 40 on them. It was like I was like 12 of like 14 from 3, and we lost at the buzzer, but it was like there were so many people there. It was in Fort Wayne, and it was like, I don't know, it was a fun tournament.
I kind of want to pick a Fort Wayne game too, but I think I'm gonna
Fort Wayne's sick.
Dude, at the Speech place, I kind of want to pick one. I'd like 45 in a game against some UYBL team there, but I'm not picking it. I'm picking Connor, you'll remember this game. Number 1 versus number 2, my sophomore year of high school, us versus at Dubuque senior. Devontae Lane gets ejected on 2 very quick tees the game before, so he cannot play, because if you get ejected in Iowa high school basketball, you can't play next game. It's so dumb. Paul Mulcahy could punch somebody and he can play, but Devontae says 2 things to the ref and he can't play. But anyways, so we go on the road at Dubuque senior, packed house. It's crazy. Connor has like 30. I have like 19, and we win. Like start to finish, we lead and we win. And so that was like kind of like the statement game of our year, where it was like, okay, like these guys are going to run the table. So I would say that one.
Yeah, I could go in a bunch of different directions here. But
My laptop's gonna die. I'm at 0%, but keep going.
All right. Well, we could finish up without you if it dies, or you could just get a charger. Who knows? Either one.
Charger's upstairs.
My last pick is going to be at the rack at Rutgers. I throw the pass to Weezy. We're up 2 with 5 seconds, 8 seconds, whatever it was, and Geo Baker. It's a step back 3 over TC, and we call timeout. Run the tap play at the end of the game. I throw it in. Nicholas tips it to Weezy, bank shot from the corner. Just that game as a whole was just it was an insane game, and that was probably the best buzzer beater game I've had, besides, well, obviously J-Bo's, but that game was just insane. So yeah, that's the draft. I mean, you got 2 championships in there. I have more Big Ten stuff. So I don't know. I feel like it's a solid
good mix.
Yeah, it's a good mix. But that's gonna do it for us. Payton, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
This is a big episode for us, episode 9, and we knew we wanted to have you on at some point. So thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. Really looking forward to summer golf and summer workouts with you when we're both back in Iowa City. But
that's good.
Thanks, brother.
All right. Yep. Good seeing you.
Quick shout out before we finish up to Haynes Homes again as our sponsor. Want to thank them. And that's going to do it for episode 9. Thanks, everybody.